What's up, everybody? It's your boy Hamster Reacts, coming back at you with another song, another piece of music that we're going to talk about. But I want to talk about one other thing real quick. Those of you that were there from the very beginning and actually saw the very first video that I put out know that my inspiration for doing this and kind of wanting to follow something that I've been kind of passionate about for a little while is another YouTuber. His name is Key of Jeebs. That's Geebz, if I recall correctly. He likes to call himself the decomposer because he's a composer, and he started off doing these reaction videos where he would just break down some of the technical aspects of music. But it was because of him that I rediscovered a love of what it is that I love about music, and how it makes me feel. And I've always believed very passionately that there are a few things that are universal languages in this world: a smile, a laugh, crying, that sort of thing, love. And music is also one of those. I think it's one of the few things that actually connects us. And I just saw a video that he had put out where he has decided to shift gears a little bit on his channel. I absolutely encourage you to go check it out. He's done just a whole plethora of videos, and if you're a Tool fan, that's definitely a place to go. If it hadn't been for him, I probably wouldn't have rediscovered my love for Tool, and so on. So I wanted to give the guy a shout out because the guy is a super nice guy. I've never chatted with the guy in person, but I've got a lot of respect for him and what he does, and really excited to see what he does in the future. Okay, so let's get down to it. Now, as some of you may know, I don't always do new songs that I've never heard before. Some of them it is, and it's all fine and dandy, but I've had this particular song in my head now for the last couple days, and admittedly it is one of my favorite songs by this band, and the song is called Buried Alive. It's by Avenged Sevenfold. Anybody that knows me know that I'm a big Sevenfold fan. I discovered them when City of Evil came out, and they released their first single. It's late, forgive me. Their first single, Bat Country, hit the radios. There was an edited version of it, I think, that was played, and I just thought it was really interesting how they had these harmonies, these vocal harmonies, and they kind of brought back, they had some of the harmonic guitars that played. And I went and purchased the album and listened to the whole thing and just like fell in love with the band. And I didn't get much into the first couple of albums because I have a hard time with screamo. I don't do a lot of screamo stuff. I just can't. But I think from what I understand, Shadows, the lead singer, had vocal surgery at some point, which somehow kind of maybe changed the direction of the band. I'm not really sure if you know what that story is, but behind the switch up on the sound from going to straight screamo to more I don't want to say forward thinking, but that's what I consider as like forward thinking music. Not as far as like, like a societal message, but just the way the music was constructed. This particular song, Buried Alive, is from the album Nightmare. The album Nightmare is very special to me because it is the first album after the Rev passed, and I had a chance to watch Sevenfold live. A brand new, not even super famous yet, Hailstorm opened up for him here where I live in Indianapolis, and it was an incredible show. I did get to see the Rev in action, and just so much respect for him as a musician. So when he passed, I took it very, very hard. And this album stayed in my CD player. That dates me a little bit. It stayed in my CD player for months. It took months. And I mean, I listened to it on repeat over and over and over again. And it's got its singles. It's got like, Nightmare, and it has, and of course, now is when I forget the title, but it has another song that was played almost to death on the radio. But this song represents, I think, a really great kind of cross section of what Sevenfold is, and as a group, as far as what it does. So we'll talk about it as we go through it. This is Buried Alive by Avenged Sevenfold. You may catch me singing parts to this, by the way. So the first thing that I'll mention here that I really that really caught me off guard about Sevenfold, besides the vocal harmonies that they had, and just kind of hearing that on City of Evil the first time, is the way that they actually incorporated orchestral music into their sound. I had never thought that, and of course, I keep in mind, I was kind of new to the prog rock scene at that point, just kind of coming into some of that stuff, and really had not experienced symphonic rock or things like that. Nightwish, I hadn't even listened to Nightwish when I heard Sevenfold, right? So you'll have to forgive me, but that's what kind of grabbed me, is that, oh great, here's a whole nother realm of possibility when it comes to the strings, and as you could hear the strings beginning to come in, they're also taking their time with this. It's one of those just 6 minutes and 41 seconds, right? They're taking their time with this, and they're setting up a really beautiful, in my opinion, introduction. We don't even have lyrics yet, and we just have so much of the introduction to go. I love it when musicians take their time and explore the music, and instead of trying to cut a quick 3-minute song. It's such a refreshing thing when they let the music be what it should be and explore it to its potential. All right, let's keep going. Harmonic, I think. Yeah. You got those harmonic guitars there, or what you can call as I like the theme of like dueling guitars almost.
Too loud. Take a look in the distance, try and see it all. Chances are that you might find that we share a common discomfort now. I feel I'm walking a fine line. Tell me only if it's real. Still I'm on my way.
If you guys are hearing the bass line in the back, it's boom, 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 boom. It's got I don't know if those are eighth notes or what in the back, but the bass player is not being idle during this song. This is a very chill kind of vibe. But if you listen closely to the bass line, it's kind of if you'll pardon the pun, buried a little bit in the back of the mix. It's not super primary. It's just they're supporting in this case. But if you listen very carefully, you'll find that he is not being idle during this kind of laid back section of the song. So let's talk about something else here real quick, and this is one thing that's also impressed me about Sevenfold over the years, and the fact is that Shadows has basically an incomparable voice. There are few people throughout history, as far as frontmen, frontwomen, if you want to think of it that way, that have a voice that is just not able to be really duplicated exactly. Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, Frankie Valli. I just had another one in my head, another vocalist, Miles Kennedy, maybe to an extent, Chris Cornell, as far as like rock vocalists and such go. Shadows is another one of those. He just, as much as I would love to sound like I match Shadows in the car, or in the shower or whatnot, I cannot hit that those notes, the way he hits it with that tone, with that pitch, with the inflection, and so on. And I think that's one of the things that makes him a great singer. The other thing is that the way that his raspiness is so natural in his voice, I think really benefits his vocal style, because he doesn't have to put a lot of effort into making it sound passionate. I guess you could say, sound genuine and sincere. As you heard at the end of that last chorus, I'll back it up here in a second. His vocals, to me at least, come off as very genuine, especially in this song. And I have absolutely, and there's no question in my mind that this album was written with a lot of emotion, obviously because of what happened. There are even parts of this album that were recorded before the Rev passed that have been incorporated into some of the songs. And in the liner notes of the CDs, which for those of you that are younger and don't know what I'm talking about, ask your folks or ask somebody who was older that knows. In the liner notes of the CDs, they specifically demarcated the lyrics and the words that were from Rev. And I can't think of which song it is, but he's got one. I think it's almost like I think it's like track 10 on this album. And he's got lyrics and things like that. So there's a lot of emotion in those in the vocals that you hear, but it's also I just get the vibe that he's not trying hard. He's just singing as himself, if that makes sense. Okay, we're gonna back it up. Let's let you hear the end of that line and listen to the vocals.
I've been buried alive.
Here we go.
Real as ever. And it seems I've been buried alive. I walked the fields through the fire, taking steps until I found solid ground. Followed dreams reaching higher, couldn't survive the fall. Much has changed since the last time, and I feel a little less certain now. You know I jumped at the first sign, tell me only if it's real. Memories seem to fade. Wash my view away.
Here we go.
Hey, I can't live in here for another day. Darkness is gathering like concealed. Grim as ever, hold on to faith as I dig another grave. Meanwhile, the mice under the wheel. Real as ever, and I'm chained like a slave, trapped in the dark, slammed all the law. Death calls my name, and it seems I've been buried alive.
Okay, so we're going to pause it there, and we're going to come back and jump into that. This is one of my favorite things about Sevenfold in general, but specifically this song. I wouldn't say that they reinvented the wheel from album to album. They certainly didn't. Not to the extent of, say, like Panic at the Disco, who went from A Fever You Can't Sweat Out to Pretty Odd, which are like completely different albums. And specifically, there are specific reasons as to why those albums are too different. But I'd like to think that they got more refined as the sound and the different albums came out. You had City of Evil, then you had the self-titled album Avenged Sevenfold, then you had Nightmare, and then I believe you had The Stage, if I'm not missing one, or is it Hail to the King? It was Hail to the King, and then The Stage, and then the new one that's getting ready to drop, which escapes me right now, and so on. But one of the things specifically, and I think this is a huge credit to the man, that this particular album has that I didn't really notice before, is there is a lot more proggy elements to this album than there were to some of the previous albums. And one of the elements that I love, going back to like classical music with like Beethoven and Bach and Mozart and things like that, is the concept of movements. movements. You have one part of a song that transitions into another part of the song that sounds different, that transitions into a third part or a fourth part or that kind of thing. So for those of you that are musically knowledgeable, you'll know what I'm talking about. A really great example of that is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. The first movement is the one that everybody's heard, which is one of the most beautiful pieces of music I've ever heard. But a lot of people don't understand that there's a second and a third movement. And there's a story behind that. He wrote that to impress the father of a girl he wanted to marry. It didn't work, and I don't think they got married and things like that. I don't know the whole history, but at any rate, that's one of the things that I love about Sevenfold is that they're not afraid to embrace the concept of movements within their music. And so as a result, that's what we just heard, that transition, is because we're going to be transitioning from it. It's not full on chuggy Avenged Sevenfold, which just makes you want to rock your face off, which you'll probably see me do in a second. But it's that transition period, which in itself is a really cool piece of a section of music. So we're going to back it up by like 10 seconds. I want you to listen to the transition and just feel the energy start to shift. Here we go.
A snake trapped in the dark, slammed all the locks. Jeff calls my name and it seems I've been buried alive.
So now Sinister and Johnny Christ are playing a variation on that first theme. Here comes a solo. He's playing it like a mandolin. All right, get ready for it. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go.
Take it down now, burn it all out, throw you all around, get your fucking hands off me. What's it feel like? Took the wrong route, watch it fall apart, now you're knocking out the wrong game. For you to pay the toll, a price for you alone, the only deal you'll find, I'll gladly take your soul. While it seems sick, sober up quick, psycho lunatic, crushing you with hands off face. Shame to find out when it's too late, but you're all the same, trapped inside and fired out away. Evil thoughts can hide, I'll help release the mind, I'll peel away the skin, release the dark within.
Another solo.
This is now your life, strike you from the light.
Chicka-chun.
This is now your life, die buried alive. This is now your life, what's it feel like? Strike you from the light. This is now your life, what's it feel like? Die buried alive.
This is part right here.
This is now your life, die buried alive.
And there you have it. That is Buried Alive by Avenged Sevenfold. And for those of you that have not heard it, now you have. A couple things. One thing I was going to mention earlier, I said it was a testament to the man. I never actually said who the man was. And that is Mike Portnoy, who, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Yeah, is that right? I got the guitar player right? Yeah, John. I get John Petrucci and Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater mixed up sometimes just because I suck like that. But Mike Portnoy, the drummer on this album for Avenged Sevenfold, I think honestly that the album greatly benefited from his experience and his style. You can hear certain things if you listen closely, if you catch him in certain fills and just kind of some of the ways he plays. And I'd like to think that had some inspiration in the fact that this is, in my opinion, one of the most well thought albums that they have. Just musically, everything just seems very deliberate. And that being said, of course, I couldn't mention Portnoy without mentioning what an absolute just badass Sinister Gates is. If you've never seen Sinister, the lead guitar player, play, I mean, it's like there's no effort at all. Like he makes it look so easy, and I'm so jealous because I can't play like that. What an incredible song! It really is. It just takes you on a little bit of a journey. And this isn't. I wouldn't even say this is like the most proggy song that they have on their album. I would say this might be the second most. Save Me is, I think, one of their masterpieces. It's such an emotional but also beautifully written piece. So I've gone on long enough. I hope you enjoyed that. Avenged Sevenfold, Buried Alive. If you haven't checked out Sevenfold and you're ready to have your face completely shredded and melted and you're ready to just rock the hell out, this is the song for you. Absolutely recommend you check it out and listen to the entire album and the entire discography. The Stage, by the way, I'll just forewarn you, that is a concept album. It's a bit of a departure. But even with that, I'm still kind of finding my piece with that one and still working through that and discovering new things about it. I mean, how bad could an album be when it's got Neil deGrasse Tyson on one of the tracks? Let's go. Come on. So Avenged Sevenfold, Buried Alive, check out all their work. They're absolutely amazing. And we'll see you on the next one for Hamster Reacts. See ya.